Which species of ETs have visited Earth, and how many are walking among us? In 1979, I was briefed into a special access program regarding the United States government's involvement with extraterrestrial races and the investigation of UFO activity throughout the world. Why can't we understand the ETs? Why can't we reverse engineer all these spaceships that are coming to Earth? Well, they come from different planets. Their home planets have different atmospheres. The different ET groups have different sciences. It's very difficult for us to relate to just one species. During the special access briefing, these are the races that were discussed. The first one is the Greys. The Greys are identified as the 𝗎𝗓𝗓s. The 𝗎𝗓𝗓s came from Zeta Reticuli star system, approximately 38.5 light years from Earth. The Roswell-Corona or Pelona Mesa crash of 1947-1949 involved the 𝗎𝗓𝗓s. They're described as 3 to 4 foot tall, gray skin. However, they always wore a tight-fitting grayish-white jumpsuit. Large black eyes, small protruded nose. These species are so advanced that they create their own androids or their own robots. Just imagine a civilization that is thousands or maybe even 1,000,000 years more advanced than we are. Just imagine what their technology can create. And we know that at least the 𝗎𝗓𝗓s have done this. The next one is the Archeloids. The Archeloids, spelled ARCHQULOID. And again, I wish I knew why they were called the Archeloids, but there is something that the people within the DIA used to call them the Archeloids. The weight varies. Normally wears grayish jumpsuits or two-piece silver suits, black slanted eyes, and oval heads. These aliens are distinguished by their arms having double elbows and their knees being double jointed. Their home planet is LP1811 in the Epsilon Eridani star system. This information I got was from the late 1970s. Now jump ahead to today. We know there's planets that could support life within this particular star system. The next group is the Quataloids. These genetically engineered aliens come in two types, insect and humanoids. The insect type looks like a large praying mantis. The humanoid types are more human-looking entities. The insect types have a very high IQ. They come from home planet 0650 in the Sirius star system. Again, now the Quataloids have the ability to mock other ET races. They obviously know that there's other ET races in the universe, exploring planets, exploring Earth. And they sometimes make themselves look like other ETs. How they do that, we don't know. It's complex. Again, these groups are thousands or hundreds of thousands of years more advanced than we are. So we can't answer all the questions that you have out there. And we certainly within the government have probably 100 times more questions that we would like answered, but we don't. So they come from the Sirius star system. Again, jump ahead to today. We know that there's planets within the Sirius star system that can support life. They're in that Goldilocks zone. The next group is the Haploids. The Haploids, these entities are often confused with the gray 𝗎𝗓𝗓s. They're between 4 and 5 foot tall, light gray skin tone, large black eyes, double opening eyelids, different from the 𝗎𝗓𝗓s. They have two distinct eyelids. They have a small opening for the ears and a small slit for the mouth. The hands have 4 fingers with suction devices on each tip. The head appears proportionally larger than the body. The home planet is 𝗪𝗚𝗪𝗚𝗧 in the 𝗪𝗚 star system. Again, I hate to keep repeating this, but this is late 70s, early 80s. Now you jump ahead to today. We know where this star system is. We've studied it. Astronomers have photographed it, even with the James Webb telescope recently, and know there's possibly planets within this star system that support life. I know one of the questions that you have out there is, well, you're talking about something that you read in the late 70s and early 80s, and they already knew then what planet they came from and what star systems they came from. How did they know that? How did we know that? How did the U.S. intelligence, U.S. government know this? Well, I wish I knew. I wish I could answer that question for you. That's a big question in my mind, in many other people's minds, is how did we know all this information back then? And the next group is the Trantiloids. They're a very interesting species. The Trantiloids can appear as a praying mantis. So we get confused when we see or we encounter a Trantiloid that looks like a praying mantis compared to the Quathiloids, who have appearances like the praying mantis. But the Trantiloids and the Quathiloids are entirely different species. They have different biological makeup. The Trantiloids are between 5 and 6 foot tall, human-looking, blonde hair. Females have longer hair than the men. The irises is black in color, human-looking mouth, nose, and ears, but they can appear as other creatures, such as the praying mantis. So these Trantiloids are very smart, very intelligent. They're able to make themselves look human. They can blend into a crowd, but they are alien. Although this group is not considered a separate race of aliens, they do resemble the 𝗎𝗓𝗓s, and they are the gray-skinned humanoids, usually 3 to 4 feet, hairless with large heads, black almond-shaped eyes, nostrils without a protruding nose, slits for mouths, and 3 to 4 fingers, including a thumb. The Greys have been prominent extraterrestrial beings of alleged abductions since the 1960s. They are sometimes considered robots. Yes, you heard me. That's a separate group. They're not classified with the Trantiloids or the others. They're a separate group. Now, could they be a genetically engineered class of 𝗎𝗓𝗓s? Or one of the other races? That's a possibility. There will be an argument among UFO groups about different alien species. Some groups claim that over 1,000 different races of aliens have visited or are visiting Earth. My knowledge officially only shows these 5 different races. The complexity of the different alien groups are that some of them have genetically engineered androids, even humanoids, to access something they couldn't do in their regular appearance. These different non-aligned groups of ETs come from different planets, breathe different air mixtures, are biologically different from each other, and have different thought patterns, different brains, structures, and different feelings. I never had access to the information that was contained in another manual. It was a special access program dealing with who we had and what species we had as visitors in S2 Annex, which was located at Papoose Lake, north of the Papoose S2 complex. They built a special area to house the visitors. They cannot relate to us, nor can we relate to them. Most are probably thousands of years or more advanced than we are. Obviously, if they could come from 38.5 light years away to Earth in 9 months, they have some advanced propulsion system or some other way of traveling from one point in space to the other. There's a lot of scientists out there that will say they fold space, they can jump space, they have time portals. I don't know that. I'm sure there's some way, because they do it. Now, if you look at some of these other star groups that these ETs come from, we're talking about more than 38 light years away. We're talking about 800 light years. So they can travel 800 light years from their home planet to our solar system in a certain time period. I mean, it would take us thousands and thousands of years at our propulsion systems technology, but they can do it. And that's why it's so difficult for us to try to understand them. Here we are trying to understand not just one ET race, but many ET races. And what I hear a lot, especially from abductees or contactees, is that they're visited by different types, but they all have the same goal. They're all doing the same thing. But one of the questions is, why do some of them appear differently? Why some of them have suction devices on their fingers, and some of them don't? Some of them have 5 fingers, like a human, and some of them have 4. And then there's some, like the praying mantis, that have long protrusions coming out of what would be their arm. Well, they're different. They're different species. Is there a cooperation between these 5 species of ETs? The quataloids coincide with the trontoloids. Do they cooperate with each other? Some have written books about this, some UFO researchers, claiming they do. They have an alliance, an intergalactic alliance. I've never read anything official within government documents about any kind of alliance between ETs, races. It's a possibility. Maybe they do.
If you like this video and you want to see more amazing content, go ahead and check out the next video on our channel.